Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday.
Because the people that are the loud voices that are trying to keep us divided so that they can keep us controlled, those loud voices are using anything and everything that they can to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
I watched last week at the end of the week, ABC aired a special movie about Barbara Walters, and I don't even know how I ended up seeing it. The football game was over, and I was got there, and I was fascinated. It was when I turned it on, I was immediately hooked by this story about her interviewing Anwar Sadat and Prime Minister Begin of Israel in 1977, and they showed a clip
Mm.
of these two world leaders who 10 years prior were in the midst of a bitter war with each other, who are in a hotbed of stuff that is still fighting to this day.
Right.
They spoke to each other with dignity,
Yeah.
with respect.
Yeah.
They were able to have a conversation. Barbara Walters, even at one point, like it was really funny. She says something to Anwar Sadat about, you've said publicly that the Arabs will not give up any of the land to Israel. Is there, but now you're saying you're willing to have a negotiation. Is any of that land negotiable? And he just smiles and he laughs and he said, no, I said what I said. The land is not negotiable, but we're willing to sit down and have a conversation to find out what we can actually do.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't happen today.
No. For God's
When
sakes.
you've got things going on in Palestine where people are just wanting to wipe all the Arabs off the map and all of this modern day politics, and we're having a debate about whether or not someone should die, like dignity, respect, they're gone.
Yeah.
Because so many of these loud voices are swallowing them up.
Yeah. So how then, let's get down to the meat of it, and let's talk to the good book and let God guide us in this kind of stuff. But I mean, there are, as I think we've established, and I think everybody knows, they don't even need to listen to us to establish it in their own minds. How do we weed through all the noise and the chaos to find a reasonable voice, right? And who is that voice?
Well, I think we would say God is that
Yeah,
voice.
for sure. I mean, obviously. So let's talk. I mean, let's just, are you ready for Elijah?
Let's go to Elijah, because
Elijah.
finding God's voice is hard.
Yeah. So I'll set it and then you read it. I mean, this is the whole, this is in 1 Kings 19, which is after 1 Kings 18. Yeah. You see what I did
I
there?
saw what you did there.
See, I missed a jar, but I got the.
Yeah.
So, Elijah, Jezebel, he's running from her because there's a whole duel on the mountain where he proves that, that God is God and puts all the priests of Baal to death, and he's running and is hiding, and he ends up on this mountain, and then God is there.
Yeah.
Take us home.
And God says to him, go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. Behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still, small voice. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. I feel like there's a lot of chaos being described in this story, and that we're looking for God. Elijah is looking for God's voice
Right.
in the midst of the chaos.
Yep.
And God is not in the chaos.
Right.
He's in this still small voice.
Yeah.
The chaos is covering up the still small voice. The chaos has
Yeah.
the opportunity, or has the ability, has the power. And we're in the midst of the chaos.
Yeah.
Trying to find God's
Yeah,
still
that's
small
it. I mean,
voice.
literalists would try to read that and, oh, there was an earthquake and there was fire and there was wind and Elijah escaped. And okay, I mean, the statement is, that it is, as you said, chaos. I mean, he's in the midst of this tumultuous time.
Cacophony.
Yeah, I mean, he's right in the middle of it. And in the middle of it, God is not pleased to dwell, right?
Mhm.
And he finds God, Elijah, in that still small voice. And look, Scripture voices God with that whole thing. It's not about like having a conversation that we communicate and we hug, and then there were two sets of footprints and then there was one. It's not. when God's voice is involved, you are to listen to his voice, right? To hear what he has to say, because his voice brings us unto life. I don't even know what do we have in there. We loaded, I don't, did we load Exodus?
We did.
I mean, listen to it. This is 15.
Yep.
This is right before, this is while they're duking it out with Pharaoh, trying to get out of the land, right before the 10 Commandments. And we hear, this is Exodus 15, if you will diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, and do that which is right in his eyes, and give heed to his commandments and his statutes, I will put none of the diseases upon you which I put upon the Egyptians, for I, the Lord, am your healer. Right? Like, this is after he's putting all the 10 plagues on the Egyptians, and excuse me, and he's saying, I put the plagues on the Egyptians because they did not hearken to my voice. They did not do what I asked them to do. They were the metaphorical bad guys in the story. They were the Balrog, and so I, God, conquered them. If you do what they do, I'll put it all on you. But if you listen and obey the voice of the Lord, I will grant you, ultimately, the promised land is where they're going on this journey, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's all over the place. It's scripture. Scripture is God's voice.
Yeah, that's the
scripture is, like, we see it in Genesis 1, the voice of the Lord hovering over the waters. We see it in Genesis 3. They heard God's footsteps. They heard the sound of his voice walking. We in the beginning was the word. Like, all of the language in John 1, all of the language that is being used to describe God is vocalic. Even when it's movement, it's all about hearing his voice. And scripture, we know to be his voice.
Yeah.
His voice that is calling to us. It's the same way we see with Peter walking on the water. They're in a storm. It's chaotic.
Yep.
It's a mess. And Peter challenges God and says, Lord, if it's really you walking, bid me to come to you on the water. And Christ calls him. He says, come. So Peter gets out of the boat, walks on the water. But when he saw the wind, when he saw the chaos, when he allowed himself to succumb to the pressure, he was afraid. He began to sink and he cried out, Lord, save me. He took his eyes off of God's voice. He took his focus was drawn away by that chaos. With all of these extra voices that are trying to divide us, that are pushing us down, that are pushing down God's voice, we need to find ways to sift through all of that,
right,
so that we can actually hear God's voice.
Hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.